white lady back in the 1950s, and now she's saying, according to New York Post, now she's saying that it was all, a lie what she said about Tilt, Mr. Tilt. And let's see, there go Tilt right there. And if y'all don't know who he is, most, like 90% of us black people know who Emmett Till is. He was a 14-year-old boy that was tortured and beaten to death because he whistled at a white female. So I'm going to read some of the article for y'all. A white woman who accused Emmett Till of verbally and physically accosting her in Mississippi in 1955, inflaming tensions around the murder that helped spark the civil rights movement. As admitted, she lied, according to her, to a new book. So she had made a book about, Tilt and stuff, about the murder and everything like that. And it says Tilt, who was 14 at the time of his brutal death, had allegedly whistled at Carolyn Bryant, a 21-year-old white woman, while at a country store in Money, Mississippi. So it says right here, Bryant's husband and a second white man later tracked, and they pulled him out. What they did is they tracked him down, and when he was sleeping, they pulled him out his bed, and they beat him, they tortured him and everything. And then they, I guess, I don't know, they ripped his teeth off. His teeth was missing. And it was just pretty badly. I seen a picture online, and it was disturbing. I was going to show it, but I was like, nah. But anyways, it says Brian's husband and a second white man later tracked Tilt down and shot, and something, I don't know what that other word, that BLUD, him to death, and were acquitted by a all-white jury. So of course, back in the days, people can get away with anything back in the days. Hours of libertation. Let's see. During the trial, Bryant testified that Tilt had also made physical and verbal advancements towards her. A sensible claim that worsens tension over the case. But according to a 2007 interview newly revealed in the book, The Blood of Emmett Till, which, like I told y'all before at the beginning of at the beginning of the video, she had this book and stuff. And if y'all want to read it, I'm pretty sure y'all can find it somewhere online, or I don't know about a library or nothing, but I'm pretty sure that y'all can find it online somewhere. And this woman, she's like a 82-year-old woman, and nobody has not been charged. And this happened like 60-something years ago, and still, nobody hasn't been charged for his brutal murder, his brutal death. And Bryant admits that never happened. So what she said back in 1955, about Tilt, like making verbal and physical advances towards her, was a lie. And she was 21 at the time. She was a young, barely old enough to drink. And now she's coming out saying that everything was a lie. So if it was a lie, then why would you say it? Because you caused this man death. He could have been a football player. He could have been a president, anything. And I don't know exactly him personally, because I wasn't around that time. And the people that I know that was around that time was my grandma. My mom was probably a baby at that time. But I don't know exactly him personally, but I have heard about him, and I have heard exactly what had happened to him and stuff like that, because he was whistling at a white female, and whistling at a Caucasian female back in the days, the 50s, even the 70s and the 60s, you would get brutally beaten to death. So, and she said that that's not part of the truth, but she told writer Timothy Tyson, according to Fannie Fair, which I heard of that before, though she claims she could not recall what happened the rest of the evening at her husband's country store, which her husband owned a country store, so he was the owner of that, and were temping stopped by briefly on August 24th, 1955, to buy 2 cents worth of bubble gum. That sounds like me. I used to stop by the store and buy like 2 to 5 cents worth of bubble gum. But this never happened to me because I didn't live in that time. But I know being picked on and bullied, walking to the store and stuff back in the day when I was 7 or 8 years old. But that was back in the early 90s. In the early 90s was different from the 50 from 1955. The Chicago boy, who had been visiting relatives, so basically he was visiting relatives. He was not from Mississippi, he was from Chicago, and he was visiting relatives in the cotton country of the Deep South, which y'all know what what goes on in the Deep South and what went on in the Deep South back in the days. But I'm not going to spend too much time on this story because I don't want to make this video so long. I might edit it or something like that. But yeah, the guy, you know, he was beaten, brutally beaten because of what, you know, a woman had said, a white woman had said and had lied about. And when I first, you know, heard about this a long, long time ago, I was like, oh, well, that's not a, you know, justification of brutally beating somebody and killing them. No. But you got to understand what was going on back in the